Okay. I don't know why today I have a force to record to video, and the next book I am going to read is One Way Ticket. This is a short stories and it's from Jennifer Bassett. Okay, let's go with this book. Dive in. I love this word. Wash out. Wipe out. Wipe out. Quét sạch đó luôn. One way ticket short story. A train is a closed world. Each carriage is like a small room with windows and doors, but you can't get out when the train is moving. The world outside is far away, and you can forget your home, your work, your friends. On a train, you sit with strangers. You don't know anything about them, but you sit next to them for an hour or perhaps day in the same small room. You can't get away from them. As the wheels of the train turned, these stories showed us three different people: a beautiful young wife going on holiday with her new husband through the green hills of Highland, a carefree young man traveling across the mountain of Yugoslavia looking for work, and a sensible middle-aged man traveling north through the forest and flakes of Finland, hoping for a quiet journey. Okay, three different journeys, three different people, all locked in the closed world of the train, where anything can happen. Okay, let's go with the first story. One way ticket, stay warned. 4,400 headwords. Okay, let's go with the girl with green eyes. Of course, the man in the brown hat said, there are good policemen and there are bad policemen, you know. You're right, the young man said. Yes, that's very true, isn't it, Julie? He looked at the young woman next to him. Julie didn't answer and looked bored. She closed her eyes. Julie's my wife. The young man told the man in the brown hat. She didn't like trains. She always feels ill on trains. Oh yes? The man in the brown hat said. Now, my wife doesn't like buses. She nearly had an accident on the bus one. It was last year. No, it wasn't. It was 2 years ago. I remember now. It was Manchester. He told a long, boring story about his wife and a bus in Manchester. It was a hot day and the train was slow. There were 7 people in the carriage. There were the man in the brown hat, the young man and his wife, Julie, a mother and 2 children, and a tall, dark man with a expensive suit. The young man's name Bill. He had a short brown hair and happy smile. His wife, Julie, had a long red hair and green and very green eyes, the color of the seawater. They were very beautiful eyes. The man in the brown hat talked and talked. He had a big red face and loud voice. He talked to Bill because Bill liked to talk too. The man in brown hat laughed a lot, and when he laughed, Bill laughed too. Bill liked talking and laughing with people. The 2 children were hot and bored. They didn't want to sit down. They wanted to be noisy, run up and down the street. No, sit down and be quiet, their mother said. She was a very small woman with tired face and tired voice. I don't want to sit down, Elizabeth said. I'm thirsty. Here, I have an orange, his mother said. She took an orange out of her bag and gave it to him. I want an orange too, the little girl said loudly. All right, here you are, said her mother. Eat it nicely now. The children ate their oranges and they were quiet for a minute. Then the little boy said, I want to drink. I'm thirsty. A tall, dark man took her newspaper and began to read. Julie opened her eyes, looked at the back page of his newspaper. She read about the weather in Budapest and about the football in Liverpool. She wasn't interested in Budapest and she didn't like football, but she didn't want to listen. Bill and the man in brown hat talked and talked and talked. She talked. Bill never stopped talking. Then suddenly she saw the tall man's eyes over top of his newspaper. She could not see his mouth, but there was a smile in his eyes. Quickly, she looked down the newspaper and read about the weather in Budapest again. The train stopped and at Dulwich station, and people got on and got off. There was a lot of noises. Is this our station? The little girl asked. She went to the window and looked out. No, it isn't. Now sit down, her mother said. We're going to Benson's, a little girl told Bill, for our holiday. Yes, her mother said. My sister's got a little hotel by the sea. We'll stay there. It's cheap, you see. Yes, the man in the brown hat said. It's a nice town. I know a man there. He got a restaurant in King Street. A lot of holiday people go there. He makes a lot of money in the summer. He laughed loudly. Yes, he said again, you can have a nice holiday in Penzance. We're going to Stan Austell, Bill said. Me and Julie. It's our first holiday. Julie wanted to go to Spain, but I like to stay in Austin. I always go there for my holidays. It's nice in August, and you can have a good time there too. Julie looked out of the window. Where's Budapest? She thought, I want to go there. I want to go to Vienna, to Paris, to Rome, to Athens. Her eyes were bored and angry. Through the window, she watched the little villages and hills of England. The man in brown hat looked at Julie. You're right, he said to Bill. You can have a good time on holiday in England. We always go to Brighton, me and the wife. But the weather, we went one year and it rained every day, morning, afternoon, and at night. It's true. It never stopped raining. He laughed loudly. We nearly went home after the first week. Bill laughed too. What did you do all day then? He asked. Julie read about the weather in Budapest for the third time. Then she looked at the tall man's hand. They were long, brown hands, very clean. Nice hands, she thought. He wore a very expensive Japanese watch. Japan. She thought, I'd like to go to Japan. She looked up and saw the man's eye again over the top of his newspaper. This time, she did not look away. Green eyes looked into dark brown eyes for a long, slow minute. After Newton Abbot station, the guard came into the carriage to look at their tickets. Now then, he said, Where are we all going? Where are we going? Where are we all going? This train's late, the man in the brown hat said. 20 minutes late by my watch. Okay, 10 minutes. The guard said. That's on. He smiled at Julie. The tall, dark man put his newspaper down, filed his ticket, and gave it to the guard. The guard looked at it. You're right, sir, he said. The boat doesn't leave Plymouth before 6 o'clock. You got lots of time. The tall man smiled, put his ticket back in his pocket, and opened his newspaper again. Julie didn't look at him. A boat, she thought. She's talking about in Plymouth. Where is going? He looked at him again with her long green eyes. He read his newspaper and did look at her, but his eyes smiled. The train stopped at Taunton station and more people got on and off. Everybody's going on holiday, Bill said. He laughed. It's going to be wonderful. No work for 2 weeks. It's nice, quiet town. St. Austin. We can stay in bed in the mornings and sit and talk in the afternoons and have a drink for 2 in the evenings. Hey, Julie. He looked at his wife. You all right, Julie? Yes, Bill. She said quietly. I'm okay. She looked out of the window again. The train went more quickly now, and it began to rain. Bill and the man in front in the brown hat talked and talked. Bill told a long story about 2 men and a dog, and the man in the brown hat laughed very loudly. The man in the brown hat laughed very loudly. That's a good story, he said. I like that. You tell it very well. Do you know the story about? And he told Bill a story about Frenchman and the bicycle. Why do people laugh at these stories? Julie thought they were so boring, but Bill liked it. Bill liked it. Then he told a story about an old woman and a cat. The man in the brown hat laughed again. That's good too. I don't know. I do remember them all because Julie thought he tells them every day. I don't understand. A little girl said suddenly. She looked at Bill. What did the cat die? Shh, be quiet, her mother said. Come and eat your sandwiches now. That's all right, Bill said. I like children. The man in brown hat looked at the children's sandwiches. I'm hungry too, he said. You can get sandwiches in the restaurant on this strand. He looked at Bill. Let's go down to the restaurant. Hey, I need a drink too. Bill laughed. You're right. I'm thirsty work. Tell stories. The 2 men stood up and left the carriage. A little girl ate her sandwich and looked at Julie. But why did the cat die? She asked. I don't know, Julie said. Perhaps it wanted to die. The little girl came and sat next to Julie. I like your hair, she said. It's beautiful. Julie looked down at her and smiled. For some minutes, it was quiet in the carriage. Then the tall man opened his bag and took out a book. He put it on the seat next to him and looked at Julie with a smile. Julie looked back at him and then down at the book. Famous town of Italy. She read Venice, Florence, Rome, Naples. She looked away again, out of the window at the train, out the window at the rain. 2 weeks in St. Austin, she thought. with Bill in the rain. After half an hour, two men came back to the carriage. There are a lot of people in this train, Bill said. Do you want a sandwich, Julie? No, she said. I'm not hungry. You eat them. The train was nearly at Plymouth. Doors opened and people began to move. A lot of people get on here. The man in the brown hat said. The tall, dark man stood up and put his book and his newspaper in his bag. He picked up his bag and left the carriage. The train stopped at the station. A lot of people got onto the train and two women and an old man came into the carriage. They had a lot of bags with them. Bill and the man in brown hat stood up and helped them. One of the women had a big bag of apples. The bag broke and the apples went all over the carriage. Oh, damn, she said. Everybody laughed and helped her to find apples. The train moved away from Plymouth Station. After a minute or two, everybody sat down and the woman gave some apples to the children. Where's Julie? Bill said suddenly. She's not here. Perhaps she went to the restaurant. The man in the brown hat said. But she wasn't hungry. Bill said. She told me. The little girl looked at Bill. She got off the train at the Plymouth. She said, with the tall, dark man. I saw them. Of course she didn't, Bill said. She's on this train. She didn't get off. Yeah, she did, the children's mother said sadly. I saw her too. The tall man waited for her on the platform. He waited for her. Bill's mouth was open. But, he reads his newspaper on the town. He didn't talk to Julie, and she never talked to him. They didn't say a word. People don't always need a word, young man, the children's mother said. But she's my wife. Bill's face was red and angry. She can't do that, he said loudly. He stood up. I'm going to stop the train. Everybody looked at him, and the two children laughed. No, the man in the brown hat said. No, you don't want to do that. Sit down and eat your sandwiches, my friend. But I don't understand. Why did she go? What I'm going to do. Bill's face was very unhappy. After a second or two, he sat down again. What am I going to do? He said again. Nothing, the man in brown hat said. He ate his sandwich slowly. Go and have your holiday in Stan, Austin. You can have a good time there. Forget about Julie, those green eyes now. He took out a second sandwich and began to eat it. I knew a woman once with green eyes. She gave me a very bad time. Now, no, you want to forget about Julie's. Okay. And this is the end for chapter 1. That's talk about the girl and the man. They go on holiday. Okay, the girl with green eyes. So, thank you for listening. Until next time.